I'm in the process of exploring new hobbies because I've just recently got the job. My hobby used to be practicing. My name is Nick Matthiesen. I'm the assistant principal percussionist with your Toronto Symphony Orchestra. We grew up in a music loving family, but none of us really played any instruments. There's an old piano in the living room that my mom used to play, but it was never really something that we grew up with. So I came across percussion in a kind of interesting way. I was actually gifted a drum set from a family friend when I was 14, and my parents let me take the drum set under the caveat that I would take lessons. So I took lessons from the time I was 14 to 18, but I was never super into it. But by the time going to college was coming around, I thought that majoring in music sounded pretty cool. So that was what I went with. And part of the requirement of my music degree was that I had to take 2 years of classical percussion lessons first. And once I started doing that when I was 18, I found that I connected to that much more than playing drum set. And that was kind of when I began my journey doing that. Once I started studying classical percussion exclusively, that was pretty much the moment that I decided that I wanted to pursue trying to be in an orchestra for a living. A big highlight last season was the Mahler's Third Symphony performance with Gustavo Jimeno. Just the orchestra sounded absolutely amazing, and it was such an honor to get to play that piece that I've studied and admired for so many years. I think my favorite thing about performing with the Toronto Symphony Orchestra is two things. My amazing colleagues, always being inspired by them on the stage and pushed by them to take my craft to levels that I've only ever hoped to achieve. And the audience is really special to me. I love when we finish a performance and then I'm taking the subway home and a patron on the train might stop me and say that that concert was the most amazing thing that they'd ever seen. And to me, that's pretty special. The thing I really love about this city is the architecture. And I find, especially being from California, where there's not very many old brick buildings because of earthquakes and stuff like that, being in a city like Toronto, where there's all these really beautiful old houses, especially like in the Annex and Trinity Bellwoods neighborhoods, I just love spending time walking through there and admiring the architecture that the city has. I look forward to exploring the East End a bit more. I've always lived on the West End and spent a lot of my time there. I have colleagues who live on the East End who keep encouraging me that there's so much to offer out there as well. So I look forward to spending a bit more time out there. So these cymbals were recently purchased by the TSO. They used to belong to a former TSO percussionist, Dan Ruddick, and we're so grateful to have them be a part of our collection because they're very special. The Zildjian company that manufactures them was founded in the 1600s, and they are still operating and they mass produce cymbals now, but there are a select number of these very old cymbals still out in circulation, these being over 100 years old. And what makes these cymbals so special is that they're all made by hand. And so they have a very characteristic sound. They've all, this one has kind of an interesting bell that was clearly like welded together at some point. They all have very unique stories and backgrounds. And those sounds help us define our personal sound in the orchestra and what the TSO percussion section sounds like. So this pair, it's a bit smaller, maybe about 14 inches, whereas this pair is a bit larger, around 17 inches. Um, and that's probably the biggest part of our job in the orchestra is picking colors, picking sounds that are going to match the repertoire, the moment, the other instrument. These are decisions that we're making throughout the entire week of rehearsal and even through concerts sometimes.